My child, come closer. Listen to my voice. Let me tell you a story. There was once a girl of 17 whose world shattered like glass against concrete, pregnant, alone, with bruises hidden beneath long sleeves and fear carved deep into her bones. The man who should have protected her had become her greatest threat. The family who should have embraced her had turned their backs, calling her shame a stain on their name. She carried that baby through 9 months of terror, sleeping in shelters, working odd jobs, her hands trembling as she felt each kick, each movement. Love and desperation warred in her chest. She loved this child more than her own breath, and that is exactly why she couldn't keep her. The night came with winter's bite. Snow fell soft and silent as she walked toward the fire station, her baby wrapped in the only blanket she owned. Every step felt like dying. Her heart was breaking so completely she wondered if the sound would wake the whole sleeping world. She stood before those red doors, baby warm against her chest, and whispered the words that would haunt her for 20 years. I love you too much to keep you broken. She kissed that tiny forehead, breathed in that perfect baby smell one last time, and set her down in the safe haven box. Then she walked away, piece by piece, leaving her heart behind in a basket. But here is what she didn't see. Captain Rodriguez finding that bundle, his weathered hands gentle as prayer. The entire station gathering around, these rough men melting at first sight of those bright eyes. How they named her Elena, Bright Light, because that is what she became the moment she arrived. Elena grew up in a house built of belonging. Firefighters taught her to be brave. Paramedics showed her how to heal. Dispatchers helped her with homework between emergency calls. She knew her story, how she would been left, why she would been left. But abandonment was never the word that came to mind. Safety was. Love was, home was. She had 20 fathers and a dozen mothers, all choosing her every single day. Meanwhile, her birth mother, Sarah, built a life from the wreckage. She put herself through college, became a social worker, spent her days fighting for children who couldn't fight for themselves. But shame followed her like a shadow. Every night she would stare at the ceiling and whisper apologies to the darkness, wondering if her daughter was okay, if she was loved, if she would ever understand. 20 years passed like a held breath. Elena found her first, not through anger or desperation, but through curiosity and a heart steady enough to seek truth. She knocked on Sarah's apartment door on a Tuesday evening, and when it opened, both women saw their own eyes staring back. Sarah's knees buckled, her mouth opened, but no words came. 20 years of rehearsed explanations, 20 years of imagined conversations, and all she could do was stand there drowning in her daughter's face. Elena stepped forward, this young woman who carried herself with the confidence of someone who would never doubted she was wanted. And the first words out of her mouth weren't, "Why did you leave me?" or "How could you abandon me?" They were, "Thank you for making sure I was safe." Sarah crumpled then, 20 years of grief and shame pouring out in great, gasping sobs. But Elena caught her, held her, this daughter strong enough to carry them both. "I knew," Elena whispered into her mother's hair. "I always knew it wasn't abandonment, it was love. The hardest, bravest kind of love." And slowly, carefully, they began building something new from the pieces of what had been broken. That, my child, is what sacrifice looks like. Not the absence of love, but love so fierce, it is willing to break itself open for another's good. Sometimes the deepest act of keeping is letting go. Sometimes saving someone means walking away, even when it destroys you. Sarah thought she had failed as a mother, but she had loved perfectly from the very beginning. Loved enough to choose her daughter's safety over her own heart. Loved enough to trust strangers with her most precious gift. Loved enough to live with the breaking so her child could live whole. Remember this. There are doors that only open through surrender, and sometimes the greatest courage looks like walking away. I see every sacrifice made in love. I hold every shattered heart that chooses another's good over its own comfort. And I am building something beautiful from every broken piece.